Speaking of transition, good transition, Michelle. I'm Vicki Fisher, and I'm Director of Curriculum and Instruction for the Avon Local School. And I know Michelle. We have a history. She was a kindergarten teacher when I was the principal at Vincent Elementary in the Clearview Local School. So knowing that Michelle was heading up the P-2 work group, I knew that we were all in very capable hands. And I'll be the first to admit that preschool kindergarten is not my strongest suit. I'm really an elementary person by trade. I taught 3rd and 4th grades for 10 years, 11 years, before jumping into administration. But what I have to say is this, is that I know what we do at the foundation is the most important thing that we can do, building a strong foundation, and that's what you do each and every day. So from those of us who have elementary or deal with elementary age children to middle school to high school, I thank you on behalf of your colleagues who are either in the public or private settings who work with children that have transitioned from your programs. Just from the few pilot transitional documents that we have utilized, we have had love notes almost from kindergarten teachers thanking us for the information that this document has generated, getting to know the child a little bit better before they come into their program. So it's vital, I think, that we keep this drive in our county, maybe future counties, that we keep this line of communication open so the receiving kindergarten teacher knows a little bit more about their child for a successful transition into kindergarten. A few other things I'd like to mention about bridging and making transitions and getting more known into the county. One of our goals in P2 is also to present to any preschool functions, social functions. For example, in Avon, there's a very big preschool parents club. I would hopefully like to be on their agenda some night and talk about what we're doing with the P16 and P2 work group. So just bear that in mind, that we are very willing and wanting to come and spread the word about what we're doing with the P16 Council in your area. And we have also hosted a couple of years ago a hugely successful family night at the Lorain County Joint Vocational School, where we had a fabulous storyteller, singer, entertain children, while we did breakout sessions with parents to give them information about the kinds of academics and skills that their children need to know in mathematics and language arts. So our hope is to reinstate those in some form, perhaps another one at the vocational school, because that hits the southern end of the county, and perhaps something up towards Avon Way for the northern end of Lorain County. So we are actively and always trying to, again, reach out to families and to work teachers and so forth. Let's take a look at your Families to Kindergarten document. We spent some time thinking about what kind of a name did we want to have. And we didn't want it to be a passport, because that name is used, I believe, for other transitions, maybe in the high school realm. We didn't want portfolio, because it's really not a portfolio, but we finally settled on Trailers to Kindergarten, because after all, that's what our preschoolers are doing, resettling to kindergarten. On the front, we made sure we included information from the parents and as well email. You'll see that throughout this document, because of course that's becoming such a major way of communicating. So that we were cognizant of including on the front of that document. If you turn on the inside front flap, you'll see important things you should know. And what I really like about this page is that we have thoughts from my teacher and thoughts from the parent and guardian. And I'll tell you, in some of the documents that I've looked at, I've really gained a lot about learning about the children from the parents. The parents really want to relay things about their children that might not come through on certain kinds of documents or IEPs. And I found those very revealing and sort of, heartfelt kind of thing, where some parents, because this is their precious cargo, these are their babies. And so I liked how they were communicating some certain sensitive things, again, that might not have come through on a regular document. The middle section is what it is. It's a skills checklist, if you will, more on the social emotional side. Again, we did not want this to be an evaluation. We're not looking to give a cognitive sort of evaluation of children, because you know what? That's going to come all the time, way down the line, as soon as they cross that threshold into kindergarten. Before you know it, it's going to be state tests, it's going to be all kinds of things. We just felt it was not needed nor appropriate at this time. So you can take a gander at the skills and see what kinds of things that we're looking at. You know, listening when others speak, sharing classroom materials, and that kind of thing. Again, the feedback that I heard from the receiving kindergarten teachers was they loved this. They loved having this information that was coming in on the incoming preschoolers. I think we're trying to also convey that this document is a fluid document at this point. We are still actively listening to suggestions, things that we might include for future documents, and we certainly take those suggestions to heart. On the bottom, the very last box that we included that we felt was important would be other languages spoken. Because as you know, at home, if another language other than English is spoken, sometimes that affects the children's own speech and how they learn. And again, in the public realm, it's a very big deal when children are identified as English language learners and providing special services for them. And if parents speak another language at home besides English, that may very well qualify them for that service. So that's why we felt it was important to include that on the bottom of that section. My community supports early assistance. This was a page, and I just love it. We did some revision work on this side of the document, and you'll see on the top the groups and organizations that we're very curious to know that preschool children were involved with. Even play groups or swim groups. That's very important to a child's development and what they come to kindergarten knowing and being able to do. One box that was included, if you'll see here in the top section, is none. Because, as Michelle pointed out last week in our meeting, we didn't want parents to feel like they had to check off something. If their children were not involved in any kind of play group or organization, then simply check off the box, none. And we also have areas for children who are in Help Me Grow, early intervention, and early childhood intervention. At the bottom, at the very bottom, we have health concerns. Again, is there something that maybe is a concern, a health concern, but doesn't come through sometimes on the necessary document? There are allergies and there's sensitivities. There are children who, have other kinds of sometimes medical concerns and impairments that we just might not necessarily know about. Here's yet another opportunity for parents to include that kind of information on their child.